This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today's Friday, July 12th of 2024, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I talk with Iowa State Fair CEO Jeremy Parsons as we enter the final month before the 2024 Iowa State Fair, and I talked with Jeremy about some changes that are happening around the fair, but even with those changes, the heart of the fair remains the same. Before we get into any of that, though, let's take a look at the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Curt, of course, today with the WASDE report for July. How did we see the grain markets reacting and trading on that?
Well, corn hung in there. I mean, coming into today, it felt like things were going to go to zero, but it was a little negative going in the report. But corn was a surprise. Increased demand on old corn. They lowered old corn carryout 145 million bushels down to 1877, below that magical 2 billion bushel mark. You know, a little bit of feed use, exports, and so forth. So we'll take it. It kind of says that maybe the grain stocks report, a lot of that grain's been moved. Maybe they overestimated last year's by a little bit, but it's not no $6 corn bull by all means, but it does give the market some enthusiasm to bounce. And the significance of this lower old crop number is they rolled that into the new crop as beginning stocks, and we saw the acreage report last month show a few more corn acres. So this bigger demand, a little tighter old crop situation kind of put the new crop balance sheet just down 5 million bushels. So that kind of absorbed it for the most part. World numbers on corn just about unchanged. No real big feature there. On the world numbers, we'll continue to monitor China. They say they've got a record corn crop, but they're saying they got weather problems too. We'll see how it unfolds. Then South America corn numbers were just about unchanged for the most part. Soybean-wise, old crop soybeans carryouts 345 million, still plenty of supplies. That's 5 million bushels below last month. Then when you roll into new crop, they adjusted acres on new crop. New crop bean carryouts 435 million bushels. Versus the four higher number there. So we're in a situation where, 20 million bushels less is still over 400 million, still plenty. World supply demand balance sheet, South America is unchanged. Continue to watch to see if the South American analysts come up to where the USDA production numbers are. But bottom line is we got ample supplies for now. And in corn and beans, it's going to be more of a supply-driven market as we try to attempt to put some type of yield on this crop here as we go through the main part of the growing season, July and August. On corn and beans, if you look at the crop conditions report and where we're at, August weather is actually pretty important. The crop's not made just yet. We've seen issues arise late in the growing season, but in order to have a higher market, we got to have a lower production number, and that's not good. We need bushels to work with. So I think this buys the market a little bit time as we look forward. The negative part was the wheat numbers. The spring wheat crop was much higher than what the trade was looking for. Wheat numbers are higher. The world wheat carryout estimate is higher, so we got a little bit more wheat around the world. So it's kind of a situation where we're not going to run out of wheat either. We'll watch that Ukraine, Russia area, Eastern Europe. They're dry. That'll be the hot spot for the most part. Technically, if you're a chartist or an analyst, today's a huge day in December. Corn futures on back. And what I mean by that is you made a new low, a new contract low, and you closed above the previous day's highs. The way I was taught technicals, that's a price key reversal to the upside. So they're going to draw the line at Friday's today's low, Friday's today's lows as pretty key support here. So if we can build on that, maybe we can have some type of recovery. But on the week, corn was down 9.25, beans down 64 cents on the week, and the wheat futures were down 39 cents on the weekly chart. So even though it was a bad week, it felt like a moral victory holding our ground here today.
And of course, most of the focus on the WASDE report today, but on the livestock side of things, what do we see going on in cattle and hogs?
Well, the main thing on the feed side of the equation, feed and livestock, grains, if you can hold out till new crop gets here, the market's you're giving us opportunity to book some new crop, particularly meal. Meal here, if we get down a little closer to $300 a ton on the board, I'd take a look at that. Fat price, August fat down over $4 on the week. We've seen in the trend kind of roll over and through here. You know, we're still looking at some tighter numbers and decent demand here, but it's just run out of some enthusiasm. So if you're a livestock producer, maybe look at some put protection. Hog-wise, there's a roller coaster here this week. We ended up down 72 cents on the week on those August hogs, but Friday, man, or Thursday, yesterday, day before, they hit the market hard. We had a price reversal up here on Thursday, followed through here today. Those hogs basically closed about $5 off the low. So we had some spunk in there to get us back to where we need. We'll watch cut out and see how this lean index goes. Last trading day on the Julys are here, and we're going to see those settle out here next week. So cheer on the cookout feature for the livestock guys.
All right, Curt, lots of great information today for those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net. How can they do that?
1-800-779-1515, or else go agmarket.net. Click on it until here Friday afternoon. They'll have a wrap up on what the team's looking for after this report, and it'll be a good, informative short video to watch.
All right, Curt, thanks again, as always, for the great market analysis, and we look forward to speaking again soon.
Very good. Have a good weekend.
That again was Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers closed through the market window at iowaagnet.com. September corn up 1 3/4 at 4.02 even. August soybeans down 12 even at 11.05 even. August soybean meal down 3.60 at 3.38.80. August soybean oil down 47 cents at 46.55. Chicago wheat down 20.5 at 5.50 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 16 even at 5.67 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 21.25 at 5.97.5. September oats up 4 even at 3.18 1/4. On the Merc, August live cattle up 12 cents at 182.37. August feeders up 2.50 at 258.65. August lean hogs up 177 at 88.45. Pork cutout up 65 cents at 98.65. And July class 3 milk down 4 cents at 19.77. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I check in for the final time this year with Iowa State Fair CEO Jeremy Parsons. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, for this year's 2024 Iowa State Fair, a few changes are going to be made. We will see changes to livestock buildings like the sheep barn, and also a change to the dairy cattle show, as with HPAI going through the state, it's a little risky to have those cattle on the fairgrounds, at least the dairy cows, the milking cows, have them on the fairgrounds, and it's really tough to keep track of that biosecurity. I sat down with State Fair CEO Jeremy Parsons to talk about some of those things, but especially how, even with those changes, the heart of the fair will remain the same. A lot of preparations have been taken up to this point, of course, throughout the whole year, but especially right now. Tell us a little bit about how that's standing as we are a month away from the Iowa State Fair. How are things going?
Well, when people talk about 30 days away, that's for us, when we see that countdown on the website, it's kind of equally exciting and terrifying, I guess you could say. But we're in a good spot. Obviously, we just finished 2 huge events with the National Junior High Rodeo Finals. And then, of course, the Good Guys Car Show. So now we're kind of full speed ahead. Of course, we'll host the Polk County Fair here next week. Most people don't realize that the Polk County Fair is held here on the fairgrounds in the southwest corner. But really, we're now just full speed ahead, getting ready for the fair. And really where we need to be 30 days out. Ton of details to take care of, but I know our great staff will be ready by August 8th.
And of course, Jeremy, last time we talked, we were going over the sheep barn mostly and the renovations taking place there. If you go by there right now, you can see it's mostly ready, right?
It is. New roof, new restrooms, the whole thing's been repainted, new storm sewer, new offices. Really, unfortunately, the only part that's not done is the most visible part, and that's that beautiful terracotta on the east end, which really won't come in until right after the fair, but the barn is fully usable and functional for this year's fair. Of course, 2 years and $6 million later, we've completed that renovation, and then we'll be announcing soon where we'll be going next. Again, a $25 million renovation of all of our livestock barns underway. One of the 4 is now checked off the list.
And then, of course, on the topic of the livestock, a big thing going on this year is HPAI, and kind of interesting, not as much in the poultry, but in the dairy cattle, as we've seen that mutate and go on to there. So a lot of biosecurity things to be considered for that. What changes are going to be at the State Fair this year when it comes to those dairy cattle being at the fairgrounds?
You're right. The high-path avian influenza, no changes to our poultry shows that are going on, but as obviously a high-path avian influenza has really entered into the dairy herds, we have to be careful with that. And obviously here at the State Fair, our job is to promote Iowa agriculture at its highest level. And that means representing Iowa agriculture at its best. And so with that, we follow guidance issued by the Iowa Department of Agriculture. And so this year for dairy cattle specifically at the Iowa State Fair, our dairy shows will go on as scheduled. So those first 3 or 4 days of the fair, of course, the dairy cattle shows in the livestock pavilion will occur. Obviously on the back end, those exhibitors are having to do some extra testing as mandated by the state vet. But again, they meet those requirements. They'll be able to come here to the fair. Really, for the fairgoer, the big change you'll see is there will be no milking parlor. So many people enjoy sitting outside there and watching those cows being milked. Really, because of the way HPAI is transferred and transmitted, we need to make sure we're not contaminating milking equipment. So no dairy, no milking parlor at this year's fair. However, don't worry, you can still get that shake at the dairy barn next door. You go inside the cattle barn. We've for many years had the I Milked a Cow exhibit where you get a chance working with the Iowa State University Dairy Science Club to hands-on milk a dairy cow. That's not going to happen this year. However, there'll still be other educational things involved in there. The Boulevard of Dairy Breeds will continue as well. It will be more of a display of dairy heifers than cows that are lactating, but still going to get a full representation of the dairy industry.
And the State Fair is just such a great opportunity for that education as well. And we think of the younger kids having that opportunity with Little Hands on the farm, being around the barns in general. Of course, we know Little Hands has the milking station in there with the statue of the cow, and a lot of opportunities for that. And even in a year where we are dealing with those situations, those restrictions from disease, I would say that's also another educational opportunity of seeing what it's like for those farmers on, say the front line that are dealing with these diseases.
Exactly, because all these issues, obviously ultimately affect what goes on our plate, right? On our food, on our table. So, to your point, you're exactly right. While you cannot watch live cows being milked this year at the milking parlor, you'll still be able to sit outside that area working with Midwest Dairy Association. There'll be some videos running showing how milking really is occurring at other dairies across the state. And so we're going to be able to really change that not change it, just continue it as an educational opportunity, but just in a little different format this year.
And that's really just at the heart of the fair is being able to adapt to those things and still have the entertainment, the education, just the fair itself, because we know here in Iowa, it's a cultural event for everybody here.
It really is. It's really the showcase of all things Iowan. When you think about the Iowa State Fair, our focus is really on Iowa, a representation of our entire state and all that means, from agriculture to industry to entertainment. but it's also a place where people compete, right, and get a chance to win a blue ribbon. And so that's really our goal every year, is to really just showcase our state and all the talented people that call Iowa home.
Yes, tons of memories made at the State Fair every year. I bet a lot of people will be remembering the new fair foods that we have for this year. That list just recently released. Jeremy, obviously, what is it, over 84 foods, or around 84
Correct.
foods, and too many to know all of them, but you've looked at the list. What are you most looking forward to of those new fair foods?
Well, it's interesting when you look at that. I think you have to try 7.6 per day to get all 84 in the run of the fair, plus all the normal fair foods. But, there are some intriguing things. You and I were talking about deep fried bubble gum. How does that work exactly? There's all sorts of things with flaming hot Cheetos, a flaming hot Cheeto float, like ice cream. The list goes on, but again, back to creativity and a showcase. A lot of those vendors are Iowa small businesses that operate here at the fair as food vendors, and they've been extremely creative this year, coming up with 84 new foods.
All right, Jeremy, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today, and good luck as we finish up this last month before the Iowa State Fair.
A big month ahead of us, a lot of announcements yet to come out. The companion to the dairy cow, the companion butter sculptures will be announced soon. We're going to give you the finalists of those 84 new foods as we get them narrowed down to the 3 that you'll be able to vote on at the fair. And so, again, iowastatefair.org, the daily guide, the daily schedules are coming out soon. So just stay up on our website or download our app. Either way, just to stay the most up-to-date on everything related to Fair Fever, because we want you to catch it August 8th through the 18th.
That again was Iowa State Fair CEO Jeremy Parsons. And that's all we have for today's episode of Ag Matters PM. Thanks again for tuning in. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pods of Potential. You can find those on your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Quentin Slater, Mark Magnuson, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.